All right, welcome to another edition of Mic Drop Mondays. It is recording this on August the 2nd, 2025. We have a great episode for you guys. First off, we have Sister Jennifer Adams on the show. You've probably seen all of the videos, the TikToks, everything that's going around in every post office in America regarding the kids in the back of the ProMaster. She's their mother. Figured you guys would want to hear from her and get an update on her situation. And then we got Brother Troy Scott. He's the president in branch 129, which is Baton Rouge, Louisiana. He's also the state president there. I was out there on the tour, on the Kick the Tires tour, and he came on and we went over a lot of things that's going on with him and the NALC. Let's get to the show. All right, you guys, we are launching a nationwide raffle to raise money for the Care for Prez campaign. Some great prizes. People looking at them. So we got the Nintendo Switch 2. That one is hard to get. And then we have iPad 11-inch with the Wi-Fi, 128 gigabytes. All of this is like the good stuff, you know. And then you got the Ninja Slushy machine. And the last prize is $500 airline voucher. You get the tickets. They're $5 a piece. They are $5 for $20. You get an extra one if you buy the 4. You could go online to careforprez.org and order your tickets that way. Or we are going to be getting the tickets out all around the country. If you want to sell some tickets, help fundraise, we'd appreciate that. We are going to obviously hopefully get the back pay this month. So the raffle will be pulled on September the 15th. We have some time, but, you know, don't wait too long. But hopefully we'll get our back pay August the 29th. You guys will have a couple dollars. That was the whole idea of the raffle because we do need to raise some money for the campaign. But all of the sellers, we got a lot of different prizes and gear and stuff for you guys. If you can at least sell 25 tickets, which, like I said, 5 for $20, you just got to find 5 people to give you $20. You know, if you work at a station, go around the station, tell them, hey, we're going to do this on payday, whatever, you know, whatever you do. But up until if you sell, what is that, 100 tickets, you get one of these caps. You get all the prizes. So 25 tickets, 50 tickets, 100 tickets. If you sell 100 tickets, you'll get everything that's listed up there on the screen. Like I say, go to careforprez.org for more information. Also want to tell you guys that Renee is not here today. It is her birthday. So she didn't want to spend no time with us, but that's okay. We'll get her back next week. And let's get to our first guest. We have Miss Jennifer Adams, Sister Jennifer Adams, letter carrier at 22nd Street Station in Chicago, which happens to be where I work at. So I appreciate her coming on. She's got a little bit of notoriety these days, and we're going to talk to her, but we'll roll the clip. She put out a video kind of clarifying some things about the incident that happened when she was being filmed with her kids in the back of the ProMaster vehicle. And then she put out a little video kind of explaining some things. So we wanted to play that, and then we're going to talk a little bit and go from there. So if you guys want to roll the video.
Hey guys, hi. I know you saw that video of me and my kids in that mail truck, and the kid's father tried to make it seem like I was delivering mail out of my truck with my kids, which I wasn't. I was actually in front of the daycare waiting on my guy to come get my kids, and that's it, because he said he couldn't get them. If you couldn't get them, why were you there? And I was there picking up my kids and waiting, and the only reason why they was in that mail truck with the door closed, because I told my daughter to get the kids up in there and close it, which it was AC blowing, but I told her to get them in there and close it so he wouldn't take my kid to him and a brother. Basically, they tried to set me up to make it seem like I'm an unfit mother so he can get off child support. And I'm so tired. I've been going through this for a year and a half, and I've been trying to ignore it because I'm like, I'm not going to give him my energy, but now you're trying to jeopardize my job. And then he put emergency full custody in place, meaning like he put in the order of protection. So therefore, I cannot be around my kids until April 15th when we go back to court, and it's killing me. This is wrong, but I'm trying to stay strong because anybody know me, I love my babies. I'm not no unfit mother. I've been on my job for 10 years. I'm not going to jeopardize my job, and I even help him get in the post office. I'm not going to jeopardize my job and ride around with my kids. I'm not going to do that, and I don't even have a car right now, but I'm working on getting a car because I gave him my car back because I don't want nobody. I don't want him to know what kind of car I got. I even had to move because he was harassing me. You know, I'm tired, y'all. I'm tired. So look, I did put a GoFundMe.
Okay, Jennifer, thank you first of all for taking the time to come on the show and talk about what's going on with you. You, like I said, you got a lot of notoriety out there right now. Probably those different. There's different videos that people have out there, and I've seen like 4 or 5 different ones, and multiple people sending it. So you're kind of the talk of the town here in Chicago and really around the country with letter carriers. And I want to get into some of the issues we're having on the job for young mothers. And we have a lot of women working as letter carriers now, and we haven't made the adjustments contractually to accommodate for that, in my opinion. So that's some of the things I want to talk about. But first, obviously, we want to kind of, go over the story. Now, you guys have 2 kids together,
Yes,
and
yes,
how old are the kids?
2 and 3.
And he's a letter carrier as well, right?
Yes, the
Okay.
father. Yes.
So we're gonna try. We're a fraternal organization. We're all family here in the NELC. Not to say that our family is always doing the right thing. So not here to pass any judgment on him or you, obviously. But we'll try to keep it positive with the family. And man, I do hope that you guys can work out your issues. I mean, if we can be of any help, you let us know. I know
Right.
I know our president, because we're in the same branch. I know Elise Foster did give him a call and give him a little talking to. I mean, it's a situation where we're a fraternal organization. Obviously, you guys are a family in the sense that you have kids together, but we're all family, and you never want to do any harm to any member of your
Mhm.
family. And that's when you start getting into these court things and videoing people, and when you get into that type of environment, it's going to cause harm to one party or the other. So we just never want to see that. But for clarity, and I'll let you talk. Um, tell us what happened that day, because there's people that see the video and they think that you were driving down the street with the kids rolling around in the back of the ProMaster, that
Right.
they were hitting their head on the cart and stuff like that, and that's not really what happened. So you can tell us, I guess.
Okay, well, what happened was, of course, he said he wasn't gonna get the kids, okay, and I don't have a car, so, and the daycare is gonna close, so I had to
Right.
just, I took a chance. I'm like, "Look, let me just go," because normally, like, what I'll do sometimes, like, well, when I get off work, that was my first time doing that anyway. Because when I get off work, I'll go get my kids, and then we'll just wait until my boyfriend come pick the kids up. But that particular day, I just took a chance. I'm like, "Look, daycare gonna close. I'm not trying to pay no late fee or nothing like that." So, but before I pulled up, I seen a mail truck behind me, but I didn't think nothing of it because I'm thinking maybe it's another mail truck on the route chilling,
Right.
whatever. When we done, we chill. But I look like I stepped out and I see somebody taking pictures of me and recording me, and I'm like, and I realized who it was, so that's why I was just going crazy. That's not me, but when you tired, you're tired. So I
Right.
just end up,
Well, we
cussing them
don't we
out.
don't want to show that video,
I,
so you're
I
you're
know
good.
that's yes, I know. I know that's not even me, but when you tired, it hug. So and next thing I went in there, got the kids, and it was hot, mind you. It was probably like 90, 95 degrees, I believe. So it was hot.
What day
So
was
what
this, Jennifer? What day
I
was this?
believe it was a Tuesday or a Wednesday. I can't remember. One of those days.
Of this past week or the one
I did
before?
last past week.
So that was like the 29th?
Yeah, but I know it was
29th.
hot, so if I'm not
Right, okay.
mistaken. So what I did was, it's hot. I'm not gonna have my kids just sitting out in the heat, and I'm just right there waiting. And so I had the door open, and they were just sitting on the edge. They weren't even inside the mail truck at first. They were just sitting on the edge. And next thing you know, the father ambushed me with their cameras, calling me all type of names, and they even called the police on me. And
Wow.
which they did not show that in the video, but they called the police, and the police came to my truck and was like, I mean, well, she got the AC on. What do you want me to do? I mean, I said, I'm not doing anything. And the kid's father's like, well, they're not supposed to be in the mail truck. I said, they're not doing nothing. And so the brother study trying to, grab my kids. So that's how they end up in the mail truck with the door closed because they was trying. Well, the brother was trying to take my kids out. He was just trying to grab my kids, and I told him, "Don't touch my kids.
Right.
Do not touch my kids." So
What time?
then
What time of day was this?
this was like it was around 5:06, about 5:06. Now, mind you, I found out he was not supposed to be over there, but it was a CCA lady that was down the street, and she was telling me that he always right there, and I'm just like, really? She said, well, I was wondering who he always be right here for. I guess he be watching you because he been here for months. So I guess he been trying to catch up with me. I guess to find any little everything on me. But this been going on for a year. Like he's been trying to make it seem like I'm an unfit mother to get off child support. Okay, this is all about child support. It's not about the kids.
So
Like
domestic dispute.
yeah. So and I'm just so tired. And I even took it upon myself. Did his little paperwork, helped him get in the post office because it's like he never really had a job. So I'm like, let me look out for him, and in our family so we can grow. But it didn't work out. And it's just like I
Right.
never said he was a dad because he's not. When he do have his kid, he do take care of. It's just that he feel like he could get him when he wants to, and I'm like, it don't work like that. He disappeared 2 or 3 weeks. I was like, it don't work like that. That's not fair to me. Yeah, we got kids together. That's not fair to me. So
So do you
that
guys
month,
have like I mean, prior to this, did you have like a parenting agreement? Like you supposed to get
no,
them on these days kind of
no, we
thing, or it's
tried
just
to do every other day, but that didn't work out because again, he would whenever he gets mad at me or whatever, because he always asks me to take my child support. I said no because you always disappear. So that last Monday, we had a conversation on the phone. So I said, okay, well, let's do this. I keep him a week, 1 week, you keep him 1 week. So that way we could stop all this confusion and all that.
right.
So he was like, well, I'm down with that or whatever. I said, okay, so when we go back to court, we're going to, handle that.
We're gonna tell them, right?
Yeah. So he was like, well, can you do it right now? I said, no. I said, wait till we go back to court. And he was like, well, you gonna take me out child support, threatened word. And I said no. And then he was like, well, if you don't do it, something's gonna happen. I said, okay, well, I'll see you at court. So voila, what a coincidence. This
I
happened.
just I just wish there was a way to mediate these things. I tell you, Jennifer, I've been involved in these type of domestic disputes, and it's always unnecessarily antagonistic. And what
Yes.
happens is you get into these spats, and you have to pay a lot of money to the lawyers. It takes up a lot of your time. It takes up
It
a
does.
lot of your energy. And at the end of the day, the kids are sitting there looking at their parents like, what the hell is going on here? It's just not positive for anyone. And so I'm telling you, I'll reach out to the brother myself. I mean, we need to figure this out as a family, so that we can move on together because the job is hard enough, and that's what I wanted to kind of get into some of the things about the job. We don't have any paid maternity leave or any paid parental leave at all. So, you just had two kids back to back. So it's not like you can say, hey, boss, I got an issue. I need to take leave tomorrow because, you don't have leave stored up because you've used it all. And then there's financial situations like there should be paid leave when you have a baby. And then there's the whole mandatory overtime situation. We have so many people that have issues with daycare, mothers and fathers. You want to take on responsibilities and say, okay, I'll get my kids this particular day, or like you said, 1 week on, 1 week off, or whatever. But when you want to go get your kids, there's situations where the postal service is like, no, we need you to work, and you're a full time regular, right? Yeah. Are you on the overtime desire list or not on?
No, but I tend to do overtime when they ask me. I don't say no. So, I'll take 1 or 2 hours.
Yeah. And the daycare, they close at 5 or they close at 6?
They close at 5. Well, I actually have until 5:15 to get them.
Because most of them close at 6. But even with the 6 o'clock, and we have people that are traveling long distances. I mean, in the major metropolitan areas like Chicago, you run into traffic on the back end. And it's like,
Yeah.
I need an hour to get to the daycare. And, so you have to get off work and like you don't have a car right now. So you have to get off at a certain time. They don't, one of the things that's always really just really annoyed me is if you wanted to revise your schedule on a given day due to your circumstances, yeah, it can be approved, but it also could be disapproved. To me, that's a problem. The mandatory overtime is a problem because sometimes you have obligations, and Article 8.1 says that you should be able to, that you will, a full time regular will work their regular schedule, 8 hours a day times 5 days a week. If you volunteer to work extra, that's fine, but you should be also be able to say no. Like, I can't today. I have to go get my kids. But it's just, with the mandatory overtime, sometimes that's not an option. And then you have, like I said, the no paid maternity leave, and then you have the low pay. How long have you been in the post office so far?
10 years.
So
Yeah.
so with 10 years in, you have 2 years as a CCA, right?
Yes.
So then 8 years on the pay
Oh,
scale.
well, yeah.
Go ahead. What else?
Oh, no, I was just agreeing. I was just saying yes.
Yeah, yeah. So, it takes so long to get to top pay. So you probably have about 5 more years to go before you
Yes.
get to top pay. So, you know, everything costs money. I mean, obviously, let's say you have someone helping out with daycare, you might have to pay that person, so the financial constraints of the job, like I say, all those things together that we're talking about, it just creates a burden on that young letter carrier, especially when they're a young mother. And those are the things that we have to solve contractually if we want people to be able to do this job. But the good thing is we do have real strong protections against any type of discipline on the job. And I know you're in branch 11, so we're very strong grievance branch, and
Yes.
we're not gonna let you get in any kind of trouble over this. You didn't do anything wrong, really.
No.
And we're gonna make sure that you're good and that you're able to have, hopefully get these things resolved. Hopefully this is just a temporary bump in the road.
I
And,
know.
going forward, we can go because, you're going to start, you make more money as you go, and, you get more acclimated and you get more into the situation, you gain more seniority, and, hopefully things will be better
Yeah.
going forward
This
as,
year.
kids grow up and all that. So,
Yes. That's why I'm like, I gotta keep going.
yeah.
Yeah.
I tell you, I've
So
been there as far as that thing with, and these people that want to pass judgment. Maybe they've never been in those shoes, but I've had my kids out on the route many times. There used to be a Burger King across the street from the post office I worked at. I used to work at Ravenswood Station.
okay, I'm familiar
When I
with
first
it.
started, and my kids would sit in the Burger King sometimes, or they sit in the break room. Shit, Saturday
Yeah.
mornings. Saturday
Yeah.
mornings was like a little daycare, and that's the other thing I wanted to bring up. And people kind of look at me crazy, but the postal service could, if they were that type of employer, set up daycare. Maybe downtown at the
Yeah.
plant or some type of place where there's a building that they're not using anymore. They could set up daycare for us. They're gonna be working the hell out of us long hours, and they're gonna pay us,
Exactly.
and they're gonna pay us shitty enough that we need to work more hours, overtime and penalty and super penalty and all that. Hey, let have a place where the kids can stay, and they're taken care of. That maybe that would work, but
Right.
it's all left to us to figure it out. And
Yes.
I commend you as a young mother for making it this far, and just it's hard lining up all those things and making it work for you and the kids and all of that. And I really hope this thing really blows over with
Yeah,
your
me
kid's dad,
too.
and him being a letter carrier and him being part of the family. like I said, we'll be talking to the brother, and I mean, obviously he's gonna tell us that you're the unreasonable one, but
You know how that goes.
everyone's gotta come and meet in the middle.
Yeah, and
We have
and
to figure
I
that out.
try to, because I'm not that type of, a petty mother. I'm not. I try to work with him and, be reasonable. Like, I did not want, like, bad as I didn't want to, I did not want to go to child support. I did. I tried to work with him. I tried. So, and I'm still trying to work with him. But it's just, I guess I'm not moving when he wants me to move, or I'm not moving fast enough for him. So,
Yeah.
but I
Well,
mean, like
we'll see what we can do, and I know you're gonna do everything you got to do. Now, the other thing, I've been there too, where one party or other plays this game, like the kids are in danger, when that's absolutely not the case.
yes,
And I hate
right.
to see that. I hate to see that. I know those emergency orders. It really doesn't matter what you say in those emergency orders.
It
They
don't.
almost always grant the emergency order temporarily until you get a court date, which you mentioned in the August 15th will be the court date. And
Yes.
it'll probably be lifted on August 15th. But you don't know that for sure. So of course it causes a lot of angst. But
Yes.
have you had called them on the phone, been in contact with the kids at all?
No, I can't. No, and
Is that
that's
part
right
of the
up there.
order?
Yes, it is, and it is right up their alley. If I call, it's right up their
Right.
alley. So it's
It's like
just
it's
like,
harassment or something. I hate that shit.
yes, I've been getting harassed for a whole year and a half since we've been going through this whole little process. And I even tried, like I said, because I'm like, well, if we do a week, he do it. Well, if I do 1 week, he do 1 week. I mean, they probably would have took him off. You know what I'm saying? Because it's 50-50. You see what I'm saying? I was just trying to work with him so that way, hey, you go your way, I'll go my way, and let's just focus on the kids.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's all I've been about, is trying to focus on the kids. But it's just like,
And honestly, I mean, you're not to get in the middle of you guys stuff, but you're making more money than him. Obviously, you're a 10-year
because I go to
regular.
work.
He's
I go to work. I go
see
to
you
work.
you had to take a shot at the brother. You had to.
I ain't trying to take a shot at it. I'm sorry, but I'm just saying, but at the same time, it's like I have to do what I have to do for my kids. I have 3 daughters. So, I have to work, Um, I got to take care of them.
That's tough when there's a 3-week time frame where you're not going to see the kids. You have no contact with them. I mean, you're not even on the phone, not even FaceTime, not even
And
good
it's
night. You know what I
hard.
mean? That's
It's
hard.
hard.
I
It's
I've been there. I've
but
been
I
there.
got
It's
my
it's hard.
oldest daughter, but still, I'm like, if they was in danger, why my other daughter wasn't on the order of
Yeah.
protection?
I hate that when they want to tell me that the kids are in danger. I'm like, if the kids are not bruised up, if they're not malnutrition, if they're not skinny like this or
That's what
whatever,
I'm
then
saying. They
then,
in
then what is
daycare.
what is the thing? And the accusation is that you were driving around, well, trying to paint the picture that you're driving around with the kids rolling around the back of the vehicle, but that wasn't the actual reality. But which of course
No.
you'll be able to establish that when you actually have a court hearing, but that's the way they do it is they put in the emergency injunction and you just have to wait it out and then
Yeah.
you'll get your chance to explain what happened and how you didn't put the kids in any danger and how you're a good mother and all that, but you
Right.
shouldn't have to go through all that. I hate all that stuff.
And it's crazy. And my thing is this: how can I deliver mail in somebody else's district? That's not even. I'm gonna be honest. Like, that wasn't my
Right.
district, but how can I like the video
Where's the,
that
the
was?
daycare's in what zone?
It's 60653 zone. Oh,
Yeah,
that's the
okay.
zip code. So my thing is this: how can I deliver mail in somebody else's zip code?
Right.
And you know what I'm
Right. Right.
saying? And
Right. I
that
got you.
video, in the video, not once showed me delivering mail. It didn't show me at all having mail in my hand, delivering, or the vehicle
And
moving.
just for clarification, um, nobody from the postal service, like our supervisors, whatever, nobody has come to you and said you did anything wrong, right? We're
Yeah, they
still
they
we're
told me I didn't do any. I didn't. Yeah, I went out my dish. I didn't have a choice. I had to do what I had to do for my kids.
but I'm saying
I
they
didn't.
haven't had a disciplinary interview or anything like that. They haven't
No,
issued you any type of paperwork. Okay.
no,
That's what
no,
that's what I know because I
no.
talk with our union steward. Like I said, I work at 22nd Street too.
Hmm.
By the way, I'll be there. I think next month or the month after
Oh,
that.
Wait, so you're wait, what's your route?
My route is
16.
16. 16.
Oh, nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. Because
How
I
long have you
never
been there
met
at
you.
22nd Street?
I only been there for now. I think I'm going on 2 years now. So I
Yeah,
haven't been there long.
I'm only there like, about 1 week out of the year because I have to get
Right.
leave from my union position and then I
Mm.
come and carry my route. But I like being there for that week. I don't
Yeah.
do I don't do no union business. I just, focus on the route and
Mm-hmm.
getting it done. 16 is, it's a
I did a
decent
few blocks. It's a decent block. I
it's
mean, a
it's a
decent route. I love
decent
it.
decent route. Yeah. It's flat. That's why I've been on it because it's
It
flat.
is
I don't
flat.
like all those stairs, but
I know. It
but I'll be
is
seeing you
flat.
soon. I'll be there. I'll be up there. But I did talk with your union steward, our union steward,
Mm-hmm.
to make sure that they haven't tried to initiate any type of
No.
disciplinary action. So that's good. Want to make sure you're good. I know the people out there. I bring that up because people all over the country, they send me messages. They're like, "Hey, make sure y'all looking out for that girl." And I'm like, of course we are. That's
Yeah.
we are a fraternal organization, if not anything else. Even if we
Mm-hmm.
can't get a great contract, and we can argue about if it's even a good contract right now, we
Right.
are always
Right.
going to be a fraternal organization, and we are always going to look out for our people. So we love you. We wish you the best out there.
Thank
And
you.
if you need anything, just let us know.
All right. Thank you. And I appreciate you. Nice to meet you, Mike.
Yeah, nice to meet you too.
All
Thank
right.
you. All
All
right, thanks.
right.
All right, everyone. This we have with us Troy Scott. He is going to. Today is, first of all, we're recording this. It is August the 2nd. I want to say that first. And Troy is with us. Troy Scott. He is the president in the Baton Rouge, Louisiana branch 129. And he's also the Louisiana State President. I was out there doing a campaign stop on the Kick the Tires tour on Wednesday, July the 23rd. Had a blast, great hospitality, and just wanted to get him on to see what his feedback is, and also to see what other comments and questions and things that the members out there came up with. So, Troy, how did it go, man? What do you think?
Oh yeah, we're glad you were able to come, and you asked me to talk, and I've been knowing you quite a while, so I said, hey, you should come on out. We had our little branch meeting, and Mike was able to come out and share some thoughts. After the meeting, I had some feedback. A lot of people thought, he did pretty good. He made some points on the financial side of the contract, as well as some other points with this uniform issue. We had at our state convention, Jim Yates said they were looking into ways to find uniforms that were more lightweight, that maybe were dry fit and all that nature. But our main issue with the uniform is the cost.
Yeah.
I got three. This is my last allotment. I got three pants, three shirts, and a pair of socks. That was $4.99. It's like $90 for pants. It's just a little bit ridiculous, man. And when you
You
look at
said
a new
one pair of
CCA,
socks, huh? You want one pair of
yeah, one
socks?
pair of socks. Yeah, one pair of socks. So a lot of my and I'm old school, so I'm a stickler for the uniform.
Right.
I believe in that we're representing an organization that's bigger than yourself, so you should comply with the uniform. I understand on during Breast Cancer Month they allow them to wear the T-shirts. I understand if you have certain cold weather days they wear the sweatshirt underneath. And I live in a hot climate where heat index over 100 on multiple days. So as the uniforms get soiled, as they get snagged, somebody at my stature, if I got to go buy a shirt, it's not an issue. But somebody who's making $19, they might say, man, I can't afford to go buy another pair of pants, or I can't afford to buy another shirt. And yet, we're required to wear these uniforms. So I really think that we do need to get substantially more money for the uniform. Mike also mentioned maybe a one payer solution where we have a, a, a contract with a one payer solution that we might can get a cheaper uniform set. But that was a big deal when he mentioned that, because I have to work with these cats who come in with the dirty shirts and the tore shirts, and the pants, and a lot of them are telling me that the uniforms just cost too much. And Mike did expound on that a little bit.
Yeah, that's one of the things, as I go around the country, obviously I want to, speak to people and I want them to hear from me because I'm a candidate for president, but I also want to hear from people what are the issues and things like that. And that's one of the things I want to add into the platform. I mean, the platform is pretty lengthy, but, president of the union, you want to cover everything. And that's one of the major issues out there, the uniforms. Either we have this memorandum in the contract, and we had it in the last contract, and it says that the parties are going to work together to find a better method of doing the uniform program. And either you're going to find a better method, or the employer, United States Postal Service, has to bear the cost. And really, what is the incentive for them to bear the cost if, let's say we don't come up with anything, or they don't have any, solutions or whatever? As long as we're bearing the cost, there's no real incentive or motivation for them to change what they're doing. And I thought that was one of the biggest things in the last contract that was just totally unacceptable. How can we accept a uniform program that doesn't work, that doesn't cover our costs, when it's the employer's responsibility to make sure that we're in uniform? A person who gets a job shouldn't have to buy their own uniform. That makes no sense. And I know you're an old military man. How did they do it in the military? I know it's been a while, but
Oh yeah, well,
what's the uniform
yeah,
program in the military?
yeah. Well, when you initially get in, they supply you with everything you need. Now remember, it's not free. They don't charge you up front, but when you get your leave and earning statement, they actually they actually do charge you. But everything you need, you get everything: toothbrush, hairbrush, shaving kit, the whole nine. You get boots, socks, and you get them in the color. You get the Class A uniform, you get the Class B uniform, you get the utilities, uh, and initially you're not charged anything. But if you look in the fine print, yeah, you probably paid for them.
Something coming out.
Yeah. But like I said, that's an issue that I have. You and I. Well, I started a long time ago in '85, and if you look at the M41s during that time, they used to have standards on grooming and standards on uniforms. If you wore a long sleeve shirt, you had to wear a tie. If you wore an outer garment, you had to wear a tie. Although, well, then they kind of changed in the contract and they said all you had to be was neat and commendable. And I think that kind of hurt us a little bit. And then when we went to the shirt jack, which is great for summer weather and is going to give you extra pockets. But back in '85, '86, you didn't have fat mailmen. Now with the shirt jack, we all put on a little weight in the middle. And up until about '93, I refused to wear the shirt jack
These
because
damn mounted routes, man.
yeah, I was slim and trim, but somewhere along the line when I got one of those curve line routes, I ended up
That's
putting
what
on a
it
lot of
is.
weight. So I wear shirt jacks exclusively now.
It's the
So
mounted routes, and it's all that union time, man.
could be. Another thing that came up, and this is only for the people in the know. Uh, I'm talking about stewards who do Formula A and union officers who are well versed. It's taken over a year for a lot of our dirt Step B decisions to come back, and Mike touched on that too about the process may be broken, and maybe the Postal Service doesn't have an incentive to fix it. So I did get some questions about, why is it taking so long for us to get a decision? And I understood that some of it was some things implemented at above our pay grade, but uh, you got carriers who are in jeopardy because they got a letter, then they get a 7, then they get a 14, and we're hoping that we're going to put that the discipline wasn't adjudicated, and we get a fair rendering that throws those things out. But it's taking entirely too long to get decisions back.
Yeah, I think we're in a situation now similar to the late '90s when they revamped the whole process and came up with the dispute resolution process. we're in a similar situation where it's broken. And the first thing is to really either force or convince, either way, the Postal Service to think that the a functioning grievance process is in their interest. Because right now, what we're seeing is it all steps. Somebody would rather just pass the buck, either not even meet on the grievance or do a perfunctory meeting, really not try to apply the contract to the fact circumstances, really not try to apply the appropriate remedy, and that moves the grievance. And now we got this huge backlog at the DRT. You're there in Baton Rouge. You guys have, that's the home of the Louisiana District DRT, and you guys have the biggest backlog in the country. I think the Chicago team has the second biggest backlog. Um, but you were showing me some of your decisions that you send it one day, and then it's the same day when you get it back, but it's 1 year later. It's like
Right.
it's the same day. No, it's not the same day. It's a year later. You're like, oh shit.
Right.
So it's a huge problem. And I know I was in New Orleans. So I was there on July 23rd, and I was in New Orleans on July 26th. And I know you're the state president, so you probably talked to some of them too. But a huge issue with them. I mean, they have so many grievances pending. That's branch 124, and it's just really gave me a feel for the problem. But I firmly believe we went through a round of contract negotiations last time, and we did not address the problem. And I keep saying, in collective bargaining, these are collective problems. So the Postal Service ends up paying a higher price when there's delays in the grievance process. Now, that doesn't mean that they might not care, but it is a higher price for them because a lot of times they have an ongoing liability where they're paying like a per day type of thing. A lot of times you have, let's say, you have a situation where the post office is erroneously not letting someone work because that person has work restrictions, and some supervisor is like, well, we don't have to give them work, they have restrictions. Well, they're wrong on that, right? So we file a grievance, and they don't really deal with the grievance, and the grievance moves up the chain. A year later, you come back and say, yeah, they should have been working the whole time. So now you're talking about a year's worth of back pay. And obviously on our end, it's bad for us, bad for the carrier, but it's not good for the Postal Service either. But when you get into collective bargaining and you don't address these issues, and when you look at the oversight of the Postal Service, you look at the Board of Governors, you look at the new Postmaster General, you look at congressional oversight over the Postal Service. We need to get whoever needs to get involved in this thing. If we can't solve our problem contractually with the Postal Service, then we need to get some outside entities involved. But at this point, it's a mess, and I think you're going to have to revamp the whole thing. But we could start at least by enforcing the terms of the dispute resolution process, which say when you have more grievances that you can handle in the 14-day time frame, you're supposed to activate backup teams. You're supposed to work diligently. We have people all over the country that management people don't even come to work, are not really there. We have all type of issues in the dispute resolution process, and even if we were to enforce the terms, I don't think we would get to the place we need to be. But at least we could start there, enforcing the terms and that. But I think you need a contractual solution, some type of revamping of Article 15 to develop a grievance process that works for both parties. And that, man, that's a huge issue, I know, for you guys and also for people all over the country. What were you able to talk to anyone from New Orleans? What was their take on me going out
Well,
there
yeah,
and
well,
how it went?
yeah, well, I spoke with Mike Alexander on several occasions. He's aware. We always laugh. I'm at the post office when when the boxes come in with all the grievances. So sometimes I call them and say, "Man, you sent a whole bunch today," And
Yeah,
but
they
they're in the
send them
same
in.
boat.
They
Yeah,
don't send them in envelopes. They send them in those
no,
boxes that the reams of
yeah,
paper come
paper.
in.
Yeah,
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 like what is it, like 500 times 10
yeah,
reams? So
yeah, and
5,000 pieces of paper. That's the type of box that they're sending
right.
the grievances over there.
So every now and then I'll call them and say, "Man, you hit them up hard this week," So and we're doing real good on the overtime grievances as far as getting our people paid. I mean, they're still violating every day, but We're getting the
You're
person
getting the right result.
right. We're getting the list member paid. We're getting the non-list who was forced to pay. We're getting a CTA paid if they didn't use them. So we're getting that, but they're still continuing to violate.
Yeah.
I think it's a staffing issue. I think the post office refuses to get creative. We don't like to talk about our competitors, but we got options with if you're in a city that has a 4-hour guarantee and you don't have enough trucks, but you got somebody coming back at 2 o'clock. Well, hell, have somebody there from 2. They say, hey, well, you coming in, you're gonna work from 2 to 7, or have somebody say, hey, you're gonna because that's what's starting to happen. We have these 38-year-old trucks, and I'm watching other carriers and other companies roll out electric vehicles. I'm watching them roll out larger vans, and these people started from scratch. The LLV was supposed to be a long life vehicle was supposed to be a 16-year life. Okay, my truck that I drive every day was built in 1988. That's a lot longer than 16 years. And it's hot as hell. It's an oven. And for those of us that's in the deep south of Missouri, it's really unbearable. Some days. So that I think, and then they're slowing down the acquisition of the new trucks. So I don't think that our company, and it may be they could say, well, we don't have the funding because pre-funding took up so many years of our revenue, but don't look like we're in a rush to innovate on the vehicles for our creature comfort.
You guys still have a lot of LLVs?
Yeah, we have mostly LLVs, and we do have some metrics. Uh, the stations with some of the smaller volume have metrics. Like downtown, we have mostly metrics, but about 5 of us still have LLVs, and a few people have the Pro Masters, which is not designed for park and loop delivery or mail delivery anyway. Y'all got Pro Masters up there. The metrics is not really designed for mail delivery because you got to open it up like a car door instead of slide. If you're a good sized fellow, I'm over 6'2", 270, 275. Man, it's hell trying to get in that little thing. You talk about hitting your knee on the LLV. Just imagine trying to get out of that damn thing.
It's not a
and
delivery vehicle. It's a
right.
It's a personal car type vehicle.
Right. And then we deliver in heavy flood areas. So a lot of them, the LLVs are already too low. And the metrics is no difference. It's just like I said, a passenger van that they tried to convert as a stopgap measure. So we got issues with that. It's just like I said, I'm not, I'm a regular Joe. But if I can figure some of this stuff out,
Right.
then why can't somebody at LaFont Plaza say, hey, okay, because you were here in 2013 when they said, oh, we're going to have Amazon CCAs. And then by the third day, it was regular CCAs. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah, delivering everything.
Right. So I don't know if it's the inability to staff correctly. I know that we don't have. We're not motivating our people. Like we got this new. Everybody had to do a telecon on this employee retention program.
Yeah,
I think it's a great idea. Yeah, I think it's long overdue. I think that we got to get buy-in from the mentors or people who we want to be mentors, because it doesn't have to be the OJI that necessarily becomes the mentor. So I think that if we could get buy-in from the mentors and they stick to the program. I started as a PTF, so we had days where we just stayed in the case. Now remember, I started in the 80s, so we had volume and we didn't have DPS. So we had days where all the PTF stayed in the case. Then some days we would come and then we would go out and they would keep the T6s in and they would case. Well, we kind of learned what we were doing before we were forced out, just thrown to the wolves. And we did have accurate maps. We had that showed you line of travel, showed you how to get to the route. Let me tell you, there's no maps. They didn't change the route so many times in the last 10 years since TIRAP, IRAP, MyRAP. there's no updated maps in those route books, and most people use their phone and GPS, and they put the first address in, and at
Yeah.
least they can get to the first address, and then we say, well, make your phone bigger, and then you can see where you're going from there. So, and that, I mean, I'm sure it's not just in my town that they don't have updated maps.
Oh yeah, it's we've always said if you want something done right, don't leave it up to management, and
Right,
that's the thing. You get into contract negotiations, and it's like why are we letting them dictate anything really? The hiring process is messed up, the grievance process is messed up, the uniform process is messed up, the transfer process is messed up. I mean, all of this stuff just really doesn't work, and there has to be a solution. And you say, well, logically they would come up with it because they're management, but if we're waiting on them, I mean, we used to say, hey, they're management, they can manage or they can mismanage, but nowadays they're mismanaging us out of a livelihood in the future. Like
right,
that's not going to be good enough anymore, and we gotta be able to dictate changes in how they operate, because I think left to their own volition, they're not gonna come up with this stuff. And the one thing that I really do not like about the NERP is that you have things in place, and there's some people like the provisions, some people don't like them. You know what I mean? There's thoughts about the different parameters that are in there and things like that. But at the end of the day, the Postal Service has the absolute right to terminate someone's employment within the 90 working days or 120 calendar days if they're CCA, or 90 days, calendar days, if they're a PTF. And as long as the Postal Service management has that right, it doesn't matter what we tell the people that are coming in. You try to teach them the right way, and generally the right way takes a little bit longer, especially at first. You're learning how to do the job right. And generally, management is telling them, they're not going to tell them don't do it the right way, but they're going to tell them do it in the way that gets you back in the
right.
time
Go,
that I
go,
want you
go.
to get back, right? So
Right,
who you going to listen to? You're going to listen to this mentor who is a fellow letter carrier who doesn't have any control over your job and your livelihood, or you're going to listen to this supervisor who doesn't have your best interests at heart, but they're the ones that can dictate your future, by having the right to terminate your employment within that 9120. So I just still have a big problem with that. I know that's the way it's always been. I know we've always had a probationary period, but it just seems like in today's world, it just really doesn't work. And if we're going to enter into a joint program with the Postal Service where we're going to have the buy-in, where we're going to encourage our members to participate at the training academy, the OJIs, the mentors. I mean, these are all our people, right? And we're
right.
saying, hey, we want to participate in this program with management. I think there should be a limitation in there. I mean, there's like, they have to bring you in if they're going to have a consultation and things like that. But that right that they have, that they can hold over that new employee, that's unchanged in the new contract. So I don't know. I don't know what you think about that, but that's a big issue that I have.
Yeah, but couldn't we cite? Is there an MOU that created the
Yeah,
NERF, whatever it's called? Couldn't
yeah,
we cite that when if they, we've won some grievances on firing CCAs in the '90s through the pretextual, through that
right.
management, through the
One
pretextual,
one
right?
H of the DOS award, I think it was.
Yeah. So couldn't we say, well, you didn't follow your program and therefore you're unfairly, terminated them? I
Well,
understand that they said, well, they're probationary, so they don't even have the right to file a grievance. But I know I've had some success in the past with filing grievances for people who terminated in their 9120, and a
and that
few of
and
them
that's
we
a
were able to win. Yeah.
you're absolutely right. I love that point. And it was one of my presidents in my area was telling me the same thing the other day. We were talking, and I agree with that. It's just that it's not you don't know what the outcome will be of that, right? Like you could file that
Right.
grievance
Right.
and you would have that argument there, but I mean, we've had arbitration decisions that have said the right to terminate an employee is absolute. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter So for
Right,
even
right,
now, listen, before the NERP, right? You had provisions in the ELM that said, for example, the person who is doing the terminating, you got to get like a letter from HR, and then like there was these procedures in the
right,
Employee Labor Relations Manual, and we would make the argument. We have made the argument that they didn't follow the procedures in the Employee Labor Relations Manual in separating the employee, and I'm sure we've won some, but we've definitely lost some of those as well because of the
right,
way the language is written. And so if you're going to enter into a new memorandum in the NERP, why not clarify that the Postal Service does not have the right to terminate an employee if they don't go through these steps, right? Put that right in there. Not make it advisory, but make it mandatory if these steps are not completed, if you don't give the person a chance to correct any deficiencies, if you don't delineate whatever you think their deficiencies are, if you don't bring in the mentor and the steward, for a discussion, if you don't do these things, then you do not have the right, limit management's rights to terminate an employee. To me, that would be something. That would be something with some teeth. Of course, we're always going to advocate and fight for our members, and you're right. You find that angle, right? You find that
mhm,
you find that avenue, but in order for it to be successful, in my opinion, it has to be clearly laid out in black and white so that everyone knows the rules of engagement, including management, and you can show it to them, and that kind of thing. But of course, it's out. We're always going to try to look out for our people, no doubt about it, and I appreciate that.
mhm. Well, there
So
was a couple of more things that people were interested in. Like I said, you covered pretty much a lot of stuff during your talk, and
how
we
long
had
how
some
long
other
did I talk,
political
man?
guests.
They said
I don't
they
know.
said I talked for 45 minutes in New Orleans, and I'm like, no way.
Yeah, I was
I
getting
was up
text
there a
messages
long
say,
time in New Orleans.
yeah, I was getting text messages say, tell them to wrap it up.
Hey, tell your people there's a couple of universal symbols for wrapping it up. One is like
Yeah,
this, and the
right,
other one is like this.
right.
those
Nah,
those two symbols, I know those symbols. We speak that
yeah.
language.
So, but we also had some political guests in town too, running for
Right,
judge. Remember?
right.
Yeah. So, but that was on them. They were late. You were on time. So they would have went first if they would have got there on time.
I saw,
Uh,
and like I said, you're the state president, but it was apparent that you and the branch, you guys are players in the political scene. You know what I mean? And they want to come talk to you. They want to make friends with you, and I love that. I love when they come to the letter cares because one, we want them to look out for us as a union, all these politicians, but also we want them to see us as like part of the community. Like, hey, if
yeah.
the letter cares are for us, then the people are
Right.
for us, kind of thing. We're out there in every community in America, so it was cool, when you see people running for office and they, hey, can I go talk to the letter carriers, that kind of
Right.
thing. So that
Right.
was
And we'll
cool.
have her opponent. We'll have one of her opponents at this month's meeting.
Okay,
But that all started with affiliating with the local AFL-CIO, the state Fed, and then we also, I'm a trustee on the CLC, and I bring my guys, my vice
that's
presidents,
the
I bring them with
Central
me.
Central Labor
Labor
Council,
Council.
right?
Uh-huh. Yeah. So we have a little voice. I mean, it don't always go our way. Sometimes we're outnumbered by teachers, and sometimes, and sometimes my building trades. A lot of our issues are federal. So,
Right.
but it's still nice to be in the room as opposed to just being dictated to. So I think it was a good move on our part when we affiliated, and not just affiliate by paying the money, but actually being active on the Central Labor Council. And it's worked out. I mean, we've I've had dinner with the governor. I've had I went to the Saints football game and sit in the governor's suite. Now this one we had a Democratic governor. You know, right now we don't.
Hey, you gotta
We
get into
got
Republicans now, man. The world's
yeah,
changing.
yeah. Every statewide elected officer in Louisiana is a Republican, not one Democrat.
Really, everyone.
Uh, yeah, every last one. Secretary of State, Commissioner of Insurance, Department of Agriculture, every statewide elected official in the state of Louisiana is a Republican. But anyway, so we do participate, and we do have allies. Like when we did our rallies, we had the bus drivers, the ATTA, whatever, transportation workers. They came out and marched with us, and then we
Nice.
participate in things with other groups. So we want to know, like I said, as we move forward uh, as a branch, and we trying to get this ship righted, and also save the post office, because it look like we're the one doing most of the work in trying to save the post office. In my opinion, we do have some buy-in from the rural letter carriers. We attended one of their rallies as well. Uh, but all right, since 2012, there's only been cluster boxes, NBCUs, for most new neighborhoods. Is that the same across the board, or is that just locally down here?
I would say it is not 100% across the board, but it is very prevalent everywhere.
All right.
Um, and I think that is there some type of mandate or something, but I think they're getting that from the Postal Service. You know, the Postal Service is encouraging them, and or I mean, talking about developers and stuff. You know, encouraging them and
Right.
or making it seem like it's a requirement that they set it up that way. Um, and that's, to me, I hate it. It's a reduction in service. It just really cheapens the whole thing. You know what I mean? Like,
Correct.
you getting that delivery to your doorstep is awesome. If it's an apartment building, of course you're gonna have a bank of boxes,
Right.
at the point of entry. But when you have, big areas and you have to go far away and a lot of times out in the rain and stuff like that to retrieve your mail, and then what are you doing with the parcels? And it's just, I hate
Right.
all of that. And it's clearly the Postal Service trying to reduce their burden, because they want to save money on their costs,
Yeah, but like my grandma lived to be 97, man. Hell, she just had to open the door, and on the porch was the mailbox. So imagine if she was in a newer development. She's 97. She's not walking that far. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's gonna come to bite us in the butt as these developments age. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, it was built in 2012. Okay, it's already 2025. Another 10, 15 years, somebody who was 40, now they're 70, and now they're complaining about walking to that NBCU or driving to it, even for that matter. So
I
I
think
just was
there's
wondering
something,
about that.
this thing, man, you're looking at the future of the Postal Service, and I really, I really want to hear from everyone what their ideas are, because it's not going to fix itself automatically, in my opinion, because when the Postal Service was always growing, the Postal Service has always grown in the stuff we've delivered. We've always delivered more and more letters, more and more advertising, more and more whatever. And we've also had more and more delivery points. As the country expands, you get more and more delivery points, but you get more and more revenue because you're getting more mail in, and we have a monopoly on first class mail. Only United States Postal Service can deliver to mailboxes. If you want to deliver a letter from a private company, there's a cost. Like, you can't have the same cost as the Postal Service for a first class letter. Not that anyone could do it for the same cost anyway, but that first class monopoly is there to balance out the requirement of universal service obligation. They call it a USO. We have an
Hmm.
obligation to go everywhere every day, but we also have a monopoly on the product. Now, what's growing in the future is obviously parcel delivery, small parcels. People want something, they order it, they get it. They want something else, they order that, they get it. You instead of getting 4 or 5 letters, you get 4 or 5 different little packages, and that's only going to increase going forward. But we don't have a first class monopoly on parcels, and to the extent that parcels are delivered not to the mailbox, we don't have the exclusive right to that delivery point either. And so how do you resolve that? The other thing that is happening is that as there's new deliveries out there in cities, what everyone would call a city, they're giving that work to the rural carriers, or they're giving that work to contract delivery drivers, instead of giving that work to city letter carriers who are in uniform, who should be going door to door, making those deliveries. So the service is being diminished. Is there something we can do with the law to require that the Postal Service provide that door to door service, a city delivery service where you're in cities and not in rural areas? Is there something we can do there? And maybe there needs to be a strengthening of the law as it relates to the universal service obligation and what the monopoly type of thing. Maybe the monopoly can be expanded out to include small parcels or other things that would allow the postal service to offset its cost, because nobody in America wants to go back to the days when the postal service had to be subsidized by the federal government.
Right, right,
You want the
right,
postal service to be free, but in order for it to be free, a big part of it being free is that we have that first class monopoly. And so this, to me, over the next 10 years, maybe, I don't know what the time frame is, but this is what we're going to have to look at when we talk about saving the postal service. The same financial underpinnings probably doesn't work anymore.
right. All right. Yeah. The elephant in the room was when we got started with this CLC thing, we said we were going to get a candidate to run against Brian. And I got the calls from Charlie Miller and Ricardo Guzman about supporting CLC. And then all of a sudden, we end up with two candidates. And I was wondering, is there a chance we're going to fool around and split the vote and Brian will get in because we didn't settle on one candidate?
Yeah, that's a great question. I probably get that everywhere I go. And I mean, I'm concerned about it too, to be honest with you. I think that, like you said, we formed that concerned letter carriers group, or they formed it, however you want to look at it. And the purpose was to, get a new president. And the process, to me, of deciding who the candidate should be, it wasn't, a candidate for president, because like I told you guys when I spoke, picking the president is like, it's the by far the most important thing. The president is over the convention, the executive council, collective bargaining. It's the face of the union, dealing with the media, dealing with the postal service, everything that we do, the internal organization, the money of the organization, the hiring and the staffing of the NELC, the appointments, everything goes through the president. And just, making sure that you're making that right pick. And I just wasn't comfortable with the process that they had laid out. And that's why I decided to run against, I guess, their candidate, who ended up being James Henry. But that doesn't mean that I was against coming up with a process to figure out if we could come up with one candidate. And to me, the process would be just coming up with some type of like primary election, figure out how to do that. And I even recommended that we do it at the 2024 convention in Boston. Or I said we could do it at a committee of presidents meeting when all the presidents from around the country are there. Any way where you're not dictating to the members in the branches who their president's going to be, but you're letting them pick. And if you're letting them pick, if they want Brother Henry to be the candidate, I'm good. I'll be the first one to go to the microphone and nominate him at the convention in 2026. But if the members want me to be the candidate for president, he's got to accept that as well. And so ever since then, it's been like a year now, and I've been asking him to come up with a process, and he just is not interested in doing anything like that. And I'm disappointed, I'll be honest with you, because I think that that's something that would be positive for the union. So another idea out there is to get on board with the ranked choice voting system. And there's proposals to change the Constitution so that you don't just split the vote. Like if you have 4 or 5 candidates, you could end up with someone winning the presidency who doesn't even get 50% of the members, supporting them. And so if you have the ranked choice voting system, and I put out some information, but I'll put out some more as we get closer to the convention in 2026 to see if, the members and the delegates want to vote for that. But to me, it's a very positive thing, because you make sure that the person that gets elected to that position has the support of at least 50% of the people that are casting a ballot. And the way you do that is you tally all the votes. If nobody has 50%, you take the lowest person and throw them out of consideration, and then you retally the votes, but you take the second choice of the person that was taken out of a running, and you take the second choice and you put it into the tally. and then you recalculate, you know, in real time. You don't have to do another election. You just recalculate it in real time. There's a lot of countries that vote this way. There's a lot of municipalities, different things. And anyway, so I've been proposing that as well, because, you know, I think that it would be positive for the union, not just in this election, but going forward. But so far, Brother Henry has not been receptive to any of that stuff. And quite frankly, if it comes down to it, I'm just going to have to win the election, because if I feel like I'm the best choice for the members, I don't want the members to get cheated out of having that option and, you know, getting a chance to vote for the person that they want as the president of the union, because that's the most important decision we make in an election. So that's where I'm at with it. I don't know. What do you think about all that?
Well, as long as you're going to accept the results, you know, once we, like I said, we got to put this thing back together. We're a little divided right now. So if everybody's willing to accept the results, and then we move forward, like I say, it will be kind of hard if you end up with a 41% winner, you know,
Right.
because that meant the majority didn't support it. But if you're willing to accept the results, and everybody's willing to accept the results, and then we can come together, we have an opportunity to put it back together. It might, you know, it'll be a little strained, but I mean, everybody's an adult, and everybody, you know, we claim we use this word solidarity. So if we say it and if we mean it, we'll be able to put it back together.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. I think that, you know, I think we all, any, you know, the candidates, or, you know, all of us, we love the union. We want the best for the union. We want the best for our brothers and sisters. And, you know, it's a democracy. whatever the members choose, that's what we're going to do. And I know for sure, whoever the members want as their president or any of the positions, I'm going to be 100% behind that person once the results come in. And I agree with you. I think the majority of the people will feel the same way and get behind that person. So anyway, we'll see what happens. We still got a little time here. It's still more than a year to go before the election. So
All right. Hey,
about
thanks.
a year of nominations.
Right. The other thing is, and it's the last thing I'm gonna ask you, who negotiating these hotel rates? Because we're getting killed.
You
You
talking
were
about
at
the
my
national
branch meeting.
convention?
Yeah, who's negotiating these
Yeah,
rates?
it's
You
something
were
that
at
we
my
really got
meeting
to think
last week.
about. So when you do the national convention, and so we're locked in, and we're locked in 2026 in LA, 2028 in Minneapolis, 2030 in Honolulu.
Hawaii.
We've signed those contracts already. So looking at the 2032 convention and beyond, I think we need to relook at the process. And so the majority of the expense, the vast majority of the expense, is borne by the branches. You know, the NELC puts out a certain amount of money to put on the convention, but that cost is absorbed by 300,000 members. But the branch has a very significant cost in paying for the travel to the convention, the per diem, the meals, the, you know, all the stuff that comes with it. And a lot of the places that we go to, because we're looking for union hotels, we're looking for big places, you know, those
I'm
kind
back
of
on the
things.
podcast. I'm
Those
back on the podcast.
he's on the
Yeah.
podcast. He's on the show. Tell him
Go
you're
ahead,
on the
man.
Mic Drop Monday show, you know. But yeah, I mean, we want to go places where they have a lot of union hotels, and obviously we want to make sure the facility can hold us. But man, we're limited at this point, the way we do it, to maybe about 8 or 9 cities, you know.
Hmm.
And there's a lot of other cities that would be a hell of a lot cheaper, and we wouldn't have to keep going to the same places over and over again. And I think we got to figure out a way to consider that, because the cost for the branches is extremely high, and you see the one or two things happening. Either the branches can't cover the cost for their delegates, and the delegates are coming out of pocket for a lot of the expenses, or the branches are sending less delegates than they would like to or they could. And to me, that's a disservice, because not only are you, you know, the not only you the governing body of the union, you know, the convention, but you're also there to meet people, to go to the classes, I mean, you get a lot out of it. And we want as many people to go as possible. And so restricting it because it's cost prohibitive is not in our interest, I don't think. That's a good question, man.
Yeah, because everyone has a budget. You know, you're looking at Boston. It was on average about 3,000 a member. I mean, a
Yeah.
delegate. You know what I'm saying? And
The hotels were $2,000, and then you go
right,
from there.
exactly, right.
Probably more
So
than
that's why.
3,000 because you figure meals and
Well,
all that. I
depending on
mean,
the area,
airfare is
was
like by 600. You know.
like, airfare for us was about 5, and the per diem was like 573, something like that. So you're looking at, like I said, a little bit over 3,000.
Yeah.
And you know, and we try to do Southwest if we can. You know, so and that's not including transportation to and from the airport. You know, so you're right. So a little bit over 3,000. So it's just starting to be cost prohibitive when you're looking at, you know, a branch, you know, 500-600 members, or even a smaller branch, trying to you know, take, you know, 15-20 people. And for us, you know, when we look at our numbers, you know, you're looking at 82 to 85,000 to go to the convention, you know, and it's just starting to make it a little tight, you know.
Yeah. No, good point. Like I say, a lot of the branches do bring that up, and it's something we definitely have to look at.
All right. Well, I don't have any more for you today, but you know, I might catch you on another one.
Yeah, you know how to reach
Or
me, and
somebody, or
like I
somebody else
told
might
you,
ask me one of them hard questions, and I'll call you.
perfect, man. And like I was telling the people in your branch when I was out there, I'm the easiest man in America to get a hold of. Everything is Care for Prez. So, you know, email to careforprez.org website, all the different platforms, social media, whatever. If you're looking for Care for Prez, the number 4, PREZ, you're gonna find us, no problem. Of course, you got my cell phone number, so it's, you know, it's no issue there.
All right. All right. Well,
All
thanks.
right, my brother.
No.